long meeting tonight, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna call on our guest speaker first, but before we get started, I just need a motion to the minutes of January 28th.
I move the move it.
That was the last meeting. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
Move it.
Stan. Okay, Officer Dawn, who's been with us for a long time, she got promoted, I guess. I don't know. Did she get promoted or?
She is actually continuing her education.
So
And the classes are Monday nights, so she didn't want to not be here.
And now we're now honored to have a group of at least 4 policemen that come. We've got, I wanna make sure I get these names right. Stephen Elmeyer, Dale Schwartz, known as, what do they call you?
DW.
DW. So they'll be coming, and because we always, we always ask for the police report at the beginning so they can leave, I'm gonna ask for the police report.
What's the first name? Steve?
Steve Elmeyer.
Stephen Elmeyer.
Steve and.
Okay, guys.
And then Sergeant Hebon, Sean Hebon's usually here. Myself and Sergeant Hebon were here a couple meetings ago
Right.
also.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Sean was with us
Yeah,
in the
Sean
beginning,
Yeah,
a
Sean
long
was
time
there.
ago, yeah.
So he's brought back into it, so.
I'll just introduce myself since I wasn't able to be here at that time. It is DW Schwartz.
Okay, so give us your report.
Steve, Sean, and I are in a unit called MPT, the Neighborhood Police Team. The 2 of us are assigned to Hamilton Street, and the business district specifically.
So what's been going on? Anything that we should know about?
Just the usual, just make sure your doors are locked to your vehicles, unfortunately some cars get ransacked. Mostly it's all unlocked cars. Just be aware of your surroundings, pretty much. What's going on? No major incidents right now to report. We did some promotional wise, we had a team that participated in the polar bear plunge in Seaside this past weekend, where we raised over $2,000 for the Special Olympics. So that was a fun adventure we did.
Okay. Anything going on in the town we should know about?
I know there was a report that came out the other day that there was a robbery at Stop and Shop on 27, but that was determined to not be a robbery. It was actually a theft, so it was not the initial what it came out as.
Okay, any questions about police? And thank you.
You're welcome.
You can stay as long as you want.
Okay.
But,
Have you all talked about in the previous meetings, the cameras that have gone up?
So we're still waiting on the 4 more cameras to go on. They're being worked on right now to be installed with PS&G down on Hamilton Street on the poles. So it's been an ongoing issue with PS&G, but we finally got the approval. So now it's just short ways out right now. But we have the cameras. There's also cameras in the parks as well.
So
On Hamilton Street?
just the parks on Hamilton Street?
Oh, no, throughout the town.
The parks throughout town, and then there'll be 8 cameras on Hamilton Street. We have
Be
4
8 cameras on Hamilton.
There will be 8 altogether.
okay. Thanks, guys. Okay, we have a long meeting tonight, so I want to get going. Our guest speakers are people that we know for a long time, but as you may or may not know, New Jersey is probably the only town in the country that has freeholders. I don't believe that there's any other state that we call freeholders. And we are honored that 2 of the freeholders are now part of Somerset County. One was just elected very recently, and the chairman of the freeholders this year is Brian Levine, and he should be coming, but he's, so I have asked the 2 freeholders to talk to us for about a half an hour and tell us what their responsibilities are and what they are doing, and if there's anything that we can help them with. I heard this morning on WCTC that Freeholder Chairman Levine is talking to Amazon about the possibility of them coming to Somerset County instead of Long Island, which they were supposed to come and they're not going there. So Freeholder Robinson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone, for having us, inviting us. It's truly an honor and pleasure to be from Franklin, representing Somerset, Franklin Township, at the county level. Some people may not know what a freeholder is or what they do. Freeholders are the governing body for the county, much like a council and mayor and deputy mayor are for the municipality. This is my sidekick. What we have managed to do in our first 30, 45 days is to collaboratively work together to making sure that we're moving Somerset County forward. In spite of being 2 Democrats and 3 Republicans, at this juncture, it really doesn't matter. The work must be done. And so I'm leading and moving forward in the hopes that we can continue in those efforts to making sure that we're doing all that we need to do for the betterment of the county and all people at all times. I'm assigned to Human Services. I'm the liaison, which encompasses mental health services, youth services, veteran services, senior services, anything that has to do with and impact the quality of life. And so for me, it was an easy transition, as I've always served with a heart of service. And for me, it's about doing the work and being able to be there. And my heart smiles when I'm able to do something for other people. It's not about me. I've never been that way. I don't lead that way. And so I'm happy to be a part of a bigger picture in such a time as this, when our federal government seems to be wavering or tumultuous times for the country. But there is still hope, because as long as we as voters, as long as we continue to do our job and do our work and do the ask of your leaders, no matter what level that they serve or what capacity, if your leaders are not there for you and able to answer the call, then there should be some question. We are very busy, and I know as the higher you go up, the busier you get. I'm a firm believer of being accessible, responsible, accountable, and transparent. And with that, starting tomorrow at our first 4:30 meeting, we will be testing our first streaming live of meetings at the Somerset County Freeholder meeting. So that was one of the things that Sarah and I ran on about technology, and the meetings are at 4:30 and 6:30, as well as moving forward to try to push the meeting times up to where people in the public can attend. Both meetings, the 4:30 meeting and the 6:30 meeting, actually are open to the public. However, 4:30 meetings are very difficult for people who actually work for a living. And so, in addition to having the meeting streamed and or televised, moving the meeting times will give more accessibility to the constituents to be able to be active participants in the process. I do have some business cards before I leave, so I must say, if you've had my personal cell number before I made it to Freeholder, my cell phone number still works. I do have a public-facing number, the same number I used when I was here on council, because I want to make sure that I'm accessible and accountable to the people in which voted me into office. I don't take it lightly. We're here to get the job done. I call playing reindeer games or the politics of it all. I don't want to get involved in that part. While I understand it exists, I don't have to be a participant in those things that do not move us forward. And so I choose not to be a part of anything that is not going to be for the well-being of the constituents. Let's see, what else are we working on? I see your hand, Mr. Tibbs.
Okay.
Other things and other platforms that we're working on is making sure that the community is involved at every level. which means we also have a survey, if any of you have ever been to the county website, about transportation. And I know as we grow in population, as we grow as a county and a township, transportation will be key. So we wanna make sure that our transportation, is viable and running real well. While we have 10 service lines that are running throughout the county, we provide the most services throughout the state of New Jersey. However, the funds that we receive from the state are not comparable to the reimbursement or refunds that we get as providing those services. And while it is reported that we are providing the most services, I think we can and should be doing more. It's very difficult as a booming population getting from the south of the county to the north and vice versa. Even students are not going to RVCC as a result of not having public transportation. They can carpool, but it's easier access to Middlesex County or go out of the county in order to get the education that you need if you're looking for a 2-year transition before going to a 4-year college. Currently, it takes almost 2.5, 3 hours by public transportation unless you're using Uber or a taxi to get to RVCC from Somerset. And part of that includes walking. So, that does not yield itself to a better access or process for those that are looking to go to achieve higher in their education. And so we need to do all that we can to make sure that we're not a stumbling block, but actually a stepping stone to make that happen. So in addition to that, we are losing our money because monies are going outside of the county. It's a 5-member board. Like I said, it's 2 Democrats, 3 Republicans. Sarah and I have been able to come in again and work collaboratively with the existing board members that have been there. We were able to appoint 5 people to commissions and boards within less than 1 week of getting these names submitted. We got the list, Gigi. We got the list about 3 to 4 weeks before we were sworn in. However, a couple of people I knew that had positions were not listed there. So I questioned what list were we receiving, and we were told that, oh, it's an old list, it's not the current list. Red flag. If you've appointed people within the past year or the past 3 years, that list should be current. You should know who's on these commissions and boards. So they finally gave us a final draft. Like I said, a week before we were to submit names, and they wanted us to expeditiously submit the names so their names could be submitted for January 4th. And like I said, we were able to get 5 people seated, and in spite of any stumbling blocks or challenges. But those challenges were opportunities to show what we're made of and what we're willing and able to do. And so I want to make sure that we're there for all people at all times, and it shouldn't be a select few. When I was in the military, nobody cared whether I was Democrat or Republican, and I continue to serve that way. It shouldn't matter now. As long as we're not breaking any laws, policies, procedures, then everything should be a go. We should bring ideas to the table, effectively listen, and put on our 3 critical thinking caps, and execute tactfully. And no, we're not gonna get everything we want done in the first year. We're there for 3 years, it's a 3-year term. And if it's so be that we're there longer and we're voted in by the residents of Somerset County, so be it. If not, it's no skin off my back, I will continue to serve. I don't need a title to serve. So I'm here for you, and I'm sure that the others can say the same. Again, accessible, responsible, transparent government, and that's what we're pushing for. So.
Tony.
Yes. Well, I was reading here in today's paper where it had 94% of the governor's voters were all black voters. 94%. And I was wondering if you guys have a relationship with the state government in order to, our primary goal is to get some summer money for kids during the summer, which the county has always done. That was a very responsible, dignified thing that the county always did. They had monies coming down in the Franklin Township and the in the needed areas for kids during the summer. And I think I've had several conversations with Brian Levine back years ago, and I think I've mentioned to you guys, if there's any effort been talked about, at least for the summer money coming down to the kids in the neighborhoods during the summer.
Good question. So I met with the prosecutor on last week, which I continue to reach out to mayors and leaders throughout the county. Meeting with the prosecutor, as you know, sometimes there's money left over. How they distribute it, I am gonna go back to the coffers and I'm gonna ask if some of those monies can be used to give stipends or jobs for kids during the summer. I am also willing to take a portion of my salary and stipend and sponsor kids to have a summer job.
Oh,
So I don't know what the particulars are, and how that would look or what that would look like. I need to talk to the county administrator to see how and when that can happen. But again, I will go back to the coffers and speak to the prosecutor, which he did share with me that he is present, accessible, and visible in the communities in which he serves, and he would love to hold something here in Franklin to talk to the youth. He has worked with several people in the, God bless you, in the New Brunswick, Somerset area, with Ms. Bowser, with, bless you, can't think of her name. Last name is Rogers. She has a non-for-profit as well. They're all out of Franklin and New Brunswick. And he's looking to, they have a faith-based, Dr. Karazi, I did give him your name. So they do have a faith-based arm, so I gave him your name. And I'm looking to just make those connections. And actually, Natasha Rogers, that's it, thank you. To make those connections, because he may not otherwise have the visibility or know who to reach out to. But you have a friend at the county, and you have a friend that came out of Somerset, Franklin Township, and intend to keep it that way. However, I do have to look out for all 21 municipalities.
Absolutely,
So.
absolutely. Does Freeholder Brian Levine aware of the conversations you've been having?
No, I have not had an opportunity to speak with him. That was just last week. I was in the office earlier. We both have full-time jobs. He was not there earlier, so sometimes we're in passing. But we do have each other's numbers, so before I put anything, absolutely,
yes,
absolutely.
yes,
But
thank you.
before I put anything in pen to paper, I do need and have to consult with my colleagues. So
Absolutely.
that's on it. I am not in a silo, and I do not do it alone. So.
Okay, before we entertain any more questions, because we have some time constraints tonight, we have the honor now of having the our freeholder director, who we all know a long time because he was mayor for a long time.
The Grand Poobah.
Brian Levine. And,
Mayor Levine.
we had an opportunity to hear what the freeholders are responsible for. As I indicated when I opened a meeting, New Jersey is probably the only state in the union that has something called a freeholder. I don't think there's any other state in the union that has a freeholder. So I just thought it would be a good idea to hear from you, to find out what the responsibilities are. And as I also said, when I heard WCTC this morning, he was commenting on you attempting to put Amazon in Somerset County. So he made a good comment on that, and he spoke very highly about you, by the way.
Oh, gee.
So, why don't you give us a short synopsis, and then we'll open the floor for questions.
Okay, as far as the human relationship aspect, I think Chanel has that nicely under control, and she knows that, and she's the liaison to all our human services now. So that's good, and she's got good initiatives too. From the county perspective also, I don't know if she had said this, there's been a push for diversity initiatives within the government of Somerset County. And Somerset County is now becoming one of the most diverse counties within the state, more accelerating than almost anyone else, which we embrace. And I was just at a meeting of the Somerset County Business Partnership. It's really like the Chamber of Commerce for Somerset County. they started that last year too. The executive committee met this past week, well, last week, and that was the same thing. One of the major points, of course, bringing in business, because there's business people there, and now making the county a good place and healthier, is a diversity initiative too, for the representation on the board, but more importantly, in the county and how we relate to everybody. So that's kind of keeping it, I mean, the Amazon-y thing, hopefully that works. Us, Somerset County, hopefully in conjunction with Newark, I thought would be good to work together, since New York told Amazon they don't want them, and Amazon said.
They want the headquarters here? Not
Yeah.
just the-
Oh, yeah, like a headquarters and some major facilities
Oh,
too.
okay. Like how it is in Edison?
Even, I think even more so.
Edison's
bigger,
got a
yeah.
headquarters.
Right, that's a facility.
Don't we have one coming out on Randolphville Road? I mean,
That's just like a facility, I think it's like a warehouse.
but it is Amazon, though, right?
Yeah.
I thought you gave
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Huh? I thought you
Yeah,
gave
why the warehouse?
Yeah.
Huge facility,
Oh, he's talking about.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
really
I
have
see.
like
a
a
headquarters.
second headquarters.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Like
see.
20,000
Like as big as,
jobs,
like,
mega
Seattle.
facilities.
Oh,
Not
okay.
just one, not just a warehouse.
20,000 jobs.
And also, thanks for the invitation here.
Do you have a question, Julian?
Yeah. Well, it was for Chanel, actually.
By the way, these are two high school students that we have every year.
Yeah, hey.
Junior
And they really help us during the year, and we always have good high school students, so, recommend it.
So you talked about kind of outreach to the community. You mentioned how you are now having the video services for the meetings, and that was some initiative that you're doing. So I'm wondering, like, what types of things are you guys doing to further, I guess, interact with the community or make them more aware of your position as a freeholder board? Because I know me, like, before I started the campaign, I didn't even know what a freeholder was. So like,
That's what I mean.
You're in good company, yeah.
so, like, is there any new social media mediums that you guys are using to broadcast the meetings to the public, or to broadcast, I guess, the name of the Freeholder Board and what you guys do in your job?
We have our Facebook page. I have my Chanel Robinson Freeholder page. I have someone managing it for me, pulling information from the county's page, as well as what's happening in the community. You can register to receive updates and news from the county website via email. And you select what it is and how much information you want fed to you via email, whether it's, like I was saying, we have a transportation survey that's going on, that's closing out February 28th. We want to hear from the public and their thoughts and concerns about transportation in the county. Our recycling program, I don't know if you guys have heard about the changes with the recycling from the county that's happening. We'll be getting new bins that will be coming. I don't know where we are on the schedule for Franklin, but it's on a rotating schedule where you'll be getting new bins and accepting different types of plastics. No longer will we be receiving plastic bags. So all those plastic bags that some people put their plastic bottles in and throw it in the recycle, they're not gonna be accepting those anymore. That's just one item I can remember off the top of my head. Definitely the presence in the website is definitely always there. At putting my IT hat on, I have made connections and conversations about maybe things that we can do from a technological perspective.
Yeah.
So more to come on that. As you know, technology changes quickly, so if we don't have a plan wrapped around or a strategy or forward thinking, if whatever we think right now is gonna be gone if we don't implement it within the next 3 to 6 months. So we have to think long term, as well as making sure that we're investing the monies wisely and appropriately. Just because it's a great idea, we may not be able to execute properly, and so that's one thing we're mindful of, being good stewards. Can I address one thing, going back
Sure.
to Mr. Tipp's question
Sure.
about having a relationship with the state government? Yes, we do have a relationship with other entities within the government, within the state. As you all know, $15 minimum wage was introduced, and it will be on a progressive table and timetable, as well as New Jersey Sick. And also one thing that just went into law that just passed about gender X, not being identified as male or female on birth certificates. While I agree, coming into the new age and new times, being tolerant and acceptable of all people, it's really a hardship on people in healthcare because when you put in your electronic medical records, the companies that you work with are not from New Jersey, so they're not mandated to go by the New Jersey state law of having this. So I work in healthcare, and from an IT perspective, it's a challenge to kind of have programming wrapped around this, and then they want it done by a certain date. So my conversation
Wouldn't it
with
be
someone at the
dangerous?
state, no, as long as you have,
Can't determine a male from a female?
well, there's some people that don't wanna make that distinction, and there's some that are born with both genitalia, so, there's no,
Oh,
unless you do genetics with chromosomes.
I
and
would
that's-
think about
that's
health-wise in
something
terms of medicines and so forth, that's what I was kind of thinking.
No, I mean, you can talk from the pharmaceutical perspective, I don't know
Wouldn't
how that's
that
going,
be
and you know, we're challenged.
dangerous?
So, in terms of identifying yourself,
Identifying male or female?
if you identify as a male or female, I think now the current understanding is that, you know, it's really up to the patient how they choose to identify, and as healthcare professionals,
I
they
hear
should
what
be
you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
respectful of that,
Mhm.
especially when, as a healthcare provider, you're trying to establish trust with someone.
Right.
You know, to understand them, you have to understand the life that they live, and that plays a part
Oh, I
into
hear
their
what you're saying,
healthcare
yeah,
and things
yeah.
of that nature.
I hear what you're saying.
And so someone, and I think with that also in mind is that people can pretend that these things don't exist, that
Right.
people identify in different ways or people have
Right.
transitioned. But, you know, if someone has, there's certain concerns that you have to do for certain people based on their health background,
I
right?
get you, I
So
understand.
making sure those things are documented appropriately will be very key.
That's what
In
I'm
terms
trying
of
to-
like medication-wise,
Yeah, that's basically what I was thinking about.
I think that's something that people will still need to study. There's already been, if you look at like, this is gonna be a long answer first, probably a short question, but sorry, you asked it. If you look at clinical research, there's always been a discrepancy between men and women when you're looking at clinical research. So a lot of things that have been done, it's kind of anecdotal sometimes. Typically, most research is always done in a majority male population, and now as we push more and more in clinical research and getting more diverse populations, having an equal balance between males and females, those are all important things. So even with medications and things like that, you know, it shouldn't be.
I understand clearly.
So my point is, while we have these relationships, if I was on the advisory council for the state, I would have told him how you roll this out. Be mindful, I don't know who he's talking to or who's in his cabinet or ear to say how this thing gets rolled out. New Jersey's sick. While it's a great plan, those of us who already had sick time and having companies to scramble on how it's gonna work for their individual organizations is a challenge. So who was talking to the upper echelon of government at the state on how these things, they're great ideas, but if you fail to execute properly, it becomes a failed plan. And so having those relationships at every level of government, and being able to have access to those that serve as your leaders in the elected official capacity is very important and very key. And if they're not having the conversations or doing things inside of a bubble or silos, it's not gonna be as effective.
Got a question on it?
Yeah, so my question was more directed towards like the Amazon and that proposal. So I know, of course it brings a lot more jobs into our county, but the, I guess like the downside that's been, like, I guess like the reason why New York didn't want them, and like the other downside is that it can bring up cost of living, and it can make almost, in a lot of cases, like for a lot of low income people, it can make it almost unlivable. So my question is, like I guess with introducing like Amazon into the county, how would we prevent it from making like the cost of living go up like to an unlivable amount? And then the other kind of follow up is like, do you think it's like even though it would harm some people, do you think it's worth it like overall?
He's the numbers guy.
As far as go, now Somerset County, when Amazon was looking for a headquarters, Somerset County put in a proposal, and actually we asked the state originally, maybe we can do it with other people or partner, and the state said, we're behind, we're going with Newark. Okay, and what we did is, we as a county, we looked at a site, it was in Somerville, and it was empty spaces plus a little ancillary, like there's empty warehouses and office space in Bridgewater, you could find it in Franklin, and such as there. So it's not, the trouble I think with New York was, it was in the middle of a residential neighborhood, they wanted other things there. Here it was specifically, yeah, you know, Councilman Prasad knows that, it was specifically our proposal, put where there is nothing, and something was slated to be built commercial. So I don't think I've got the problem with the residents because it would, it's not in their community, and it was slated for resident, for commercial anyway. As far as cost of living, what would happen is, if it were built, now the one thing I'll grant is, there could be traffic, because there's people moving around. It should be bringing in jobs, that's the concept. And then, which brings money into the schools, into the municipality, into the county, into the state also, because people are paying all over. And my concept of partnering with Newark was kind of spreading it around also. You got the urban, you got the suburban. And going back a step two, originally Amazon put out a bunch of criteria. This is what we're looking for. We want near higher education, we want good health care, we want access to highways, we want access to public transportation. And Somerset County actually made the cut above 90% of everyone else.
I
So
think
we're
it
good.
should be.
Yeah, now whether, again, I think it's okay for the residents, because it was, if it's not
Absolutely.
Amazon, it's an office building, it's something else, a lot less usable. So, I don't know if that's, was your answer, but it was, I think it could work. Now, the fact is, it's not like a sure thing, a little, I don't wanna say a long shot, but it's not like a definite thing that it would happen, but I like to put us in the lead, hopefully. And then when you graduate in several years from college, there'll be good high-tech jobs, at least
Right.
pushing everyone up.
Right.
Any other questions?
Are there,
And-
sorry,
Yes,
Okay,
go.
pardon me.
are there any other bidders for the Amazon?
You know, are there any other bidders?
I heard about Atlantic City, that's the Ocean County.
You know what, I think we were the first ones to be out front, to say, hey, wait a minute. Now, I think Virginia made a little bit of noise, but the residents there said, hey, wait a minute, New York had problems, so do we, that's what I heard. So, I wanna jump out before there's other bidders, see if we can jump to the head of the line. So, I got some contacts and calls.
Brian, I think that Franklin Township even, in some, that would be ideal. They have the
I think we have
traffic
absolutely
line
space
there,
here.
they have the transportation
Close to
facilities.
highways.
That would be 287, right on 287. I mean, I think Franklin Township would be more ideal than any place in Soundville, really.
Yeah, so, no, what part of what I wanted to do is, okay, we have this place in Somerville especially, and Newark, but I've gotta move quickly because I wanna get it out. I don't mean today, in time. I wanna reach out to all the municipalities and say, whatever representative you want, and say, hey, what do you think, and do you have anything in there that we could put in this package? Because you gotta send them a nice thing, too. So I'm gonna pull that together fairly quickly, too. You're right, Franklin certainly is by population the biggest, the most space to work with, the most workable space. And certainly, they're out in the forefront. I wanna ask all 21 municipalities, but, you know, Franklin obviously plays big. Plus, there's a facility here.
And I'm thinking about the lower taxes, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Of course.
that's what everybody's concerned about.
Councilman Prasad always has his eye on the taxes, so you
Oh,
can't hear that.
okay.
Do we have any other questions? Yes.
Yeah.
Following your footsteps.
Okay.
So I know like with the whole Amazon bidding process, like a lot of cities around the country have like offered like subsidies or tax breaks to Amazon. What kind of subsidies or tax breaks do you guys offer in your package?
I don't think
The
you.
state offered some, as a county, it's not my bent, or
Right,
municipality, to offer them, some do. But back when I was mayor, and I worked with Councilman Prasad, we never gave anyone a tax break. We did for a couple for affordable housing.
Right.
So people could have low-cost housing. But a lot of municipalities offered like a business and real estate tax break. We never did that.
Yeah.
What we said is, I got great facilities, I got great care, we'll make your permits go fast, we'll let you know if there's a problem. So I don't know, and what the state does, just quickly, what they say is, it's not like an upfront tax break, and I'm not sure if the state would still do this. They basically say, when you make a profit and you prove to me you provided so many jobs, let's say 10,000, whatever the
For the
number is,
community,
we will reduce your corporate tax rate to New Jersey.
Right.
I'm not sure I always believe in that. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
that
I-
might be the game that's played in the country, because
Yeah.
companies like Amazon are smart enough to pit states against each other, and states aren't smart enough to say, hey, if we all stick together, you know, we collect our full taxes. But long-winded explanation, I don't plan on doing that as a county now. I don't think the municipalities are, but the state, I don't know, they may still have that on the table that I haven't asked them yet. That's a good point. Yeah, are you tossing good taxpayer dollars after it, just to, is it worth it?
Any other questions? Yes.
I mean, on that question, I was gonna ask, like, with Amazon coming, I'm sure they don't offer anything in return, because I think we're on Amazon, so whatever benefit that'll bring in terms of jobs, but I'm thinking, do you see any benefit in bringing Amazon to, like, the community in terms of, like, involvement with the schools, its proximity to Rutgers, in terms of building, like, New Jersey's own talent? In that sense,
You
like,
mean,
do you see?
except for giving us a deep discount for Amazon
Well, I think that's regardless of your location, that's what the warehouse is for.
Educational aspects of it.
But the advantage, you know, I would hope so. Johnson & Johnson,
Yeah.
as I understand, very generous to Rutgers, and they work well with them.
They own the whole town.
Yes. I would hope there's good relationships like that. Part of their criteria, again, was to higher education, so I mean, good, if they give blue-collar jobs, that's great, but because it's headquarters-y, I'm thinking about the white-collar, the business. Rutgers has a great business school, obviously, it's got Princeton, College of New Jersey, all within a stone's throw, graduate school of business for Rutgers, too. So, would they give a benefit? No, nothing's guaranteed, but that would be a good thing to keep in mind and keep pushing on too.
The education aspects of it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, like, from the beginning, forge a nice relationship, start putting everything in the forefront. So, did I answer, did I miss part of it?
No, I mean, I think it was just the point of, like, you know, we do have this benefit of being close to Rutgers, and I think it's also important to always be welcoming of something that could bring great benefit, but like you said, starting with that relationship with that mindset that it should be a mutual relationship in the sense that we should build up that talent from the ground
Just as an
up.
offshoot too. I mean, forget if you like Amazon or not. They're superior, as I would see it, at logistics and delivery and such as that. But, you know, gee, funding something at Rutgers or a chair, I didn't ask them, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head. It'd be nice to plant those seeds, you know, and make a few $2 billion a quarter profit, or maybe they can shake a little.
Right, she's also our medical doctor and for,
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's, your whole family very high.
Couple more questions.
A lot more patients in the area.
Alex, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Dr.
Hi, thank you very much for coming, both of you, actually, the freeholders. So I have a question. What is the freeholders' role in reducing the gap between haves and have-nots? We have a great number of poverty in our Somerset County, and also helping the education, especially for the minorities that may not have, because of the poverty, may not have the tools to go to school.
Okay, I'll ask Janelle to chime in with me too, because she's our liaison to Human Services. We have, I think our Human Services are well-funded, better than most others in the state. We've got good relationships between Human Services, let's say, and prosecutor, which is better than actually most counties. Usually there's a wall, or the prosecutor and the freeholders, like they don't speak to each other much. But I do, like just last week I met with our prosecutor, and Chanel works with Human Services all the time. And I know that that's a big concern of hers, you know, people lifting them out of poverty. I think we're one of only 2 counties that has our own mental health services, Richard Hall, all the others that kind of sub that out. So to directly answer your question, how do we bridge that gap? And the other aspect is our social services, that's kind of different than human services. Social services is homeless and such as that. So I guess it's working that way. There's, and again, several committee meetings per month. It's like coordinating for children, that's kayakers, and then youth services, then others, like where the county, the freeholders, the staff, and like maybe 20 plus or more nonprofits sit in a room and help coordinate with each other. So you're not duplicating efforts, or you know what's going on, with the goal of lifting, again, lifting people out of poverty. And the I found that a lot of people, sometimes it's a tough economy. They do want to work, get a good job. To me, that's one of the best programs for doing something. So it's economic development. Sounds a little selfish, but it does create jobs. Hopefully, a good job, whether it's blue collar, white collar, training, whatever, that helps lift people. And one thing, I'm sorry, in things like just historically and frankly, Habitat for Humanity, building homes. I think we've been in the forefront of the county and even the state. We've been always welcoming of people here. Others, I won't put motives on their maybe not as being as willing to bring like a habitat in. So we've always been good about things like that also, we as a community.
Just as,
Little by little.
just as we were talking about, I know.
That being
Before you
said,
came in,
that being said, of all
just
ears
before
for.
you came in, we were beating her over the head about the summer money for the kids, you know?
Oh, no.
And I know you heard that, just before you came in, we was getting her about the same thing.
No, poor woman.
No, but then you came in, and I wanted to make sure. Sorry.
You can beat me up now.
No, I know, but we still need that, once we got you guys over there at Freeholders now, we still need that freeholder summer money to come down for the kids during the summer, for the jobs. That job program,
Did money come from the county?
it always came from the
There's
county.
some money, they supplement.
Okay.
They supplement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to piggyback off the question and
Yeah,
what
please.
you was answering,
Help
with
me
human
out.
services, as you all know, that federal funding gets cut, you get money from the state, that gets cut, so forth and so on. However, with that being said, we're all asked to do more with less.
Right.
I think key is promoting and marketing the services that we do provide. Actually, I did one during the furlough and during the government shutdown. I did an information session where I partnered with Somerset County Food Bank, and they bought over food. We set up, people can come over, we handed out pamphlets on the services that are being provided from the county and or any other resources that may be available that people may not be aware of. I think doing a 21 municipality tour and reaching out to the leaders of those different municipalities, making sure we're staying in communication and connection, and the people don't see us as a title head or figurehead, but actually see us as a resource of getting them the things that they need and some of the things that they want. But first, the necessity is there. However, we do not operate alone. Again, we rely on funding from the state, we rely on funding from the federal government. But I think, again, it goes back to using the technology that we have and making sure that the people know what we offer. Some people don't know. The program and what the prosecutor is doing, meeting with different affinity groups throughout the municipality, I was like, I'm pretty well in the know, and I didn't know that he was doing these things. It's a good thing, and we should be promoting it and getting the word out. When you have information, make sure you share it with the groups in your communities that you live in and that you work with. Because all it takes is one person, but we're greater together in passing along the information. There's some people that work in the city, they can't make it to council meetings, freeholder meetings, and so, he's fine, he's just poor. They can't make it to freeholder meetings, they can't even come to a human relations commission meeting. But it's up to us that do know to share the information. The more you get the word out, the better it is. I know bad news travels fast, but we have to change that and shift that paradigm and making sure good news travels fast. There are a lot of great things that are happening in the county, a lot, and we just need to do a better job of promoting ourselves.
I wanna thank the freeholders, thank you very much for your
You got a
time.
question?
Can I do one other quick interjection?
Yes.
As far as getting the word
Yeah,
out,
question.
and
I
again,
have to cut it, but go ahead.
going back to Councilman Prasad, there's, the township has generously said, you know, when we actually start, we're getting back on filming the freeholder meetings, they're likely to put that on the local cable access channel so people can see that also.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about the
Thank you.
disruption.
Next meeting, right?
I just
You don't
wanna
remember
introduce-
meetings like this.
I just want to introduce Sean Hebert. He's one of the team.
Sean, I'm back. I was one of the original people back in the beginning, and then we changed, and now I'm back again. So I'll be coming in with the
He's now
with the
part of
other
our,
guys over here.
he's
So
now part of our team.
yes,
Oh, he's on the way, huh? Oh, my
yeah,
God.
I'm back. Yeah.
John's back.
I'm here for another round.
Thank God.
Make sure I'm
Thanks a
sick.
lot.
Good to see you, Sergeant.
Rajiv. Rajiv,
Oh, okay.
come in.
I got another good one.
Yeah, I see.
You got another one?
Just three, yeah. Three
Okay,
grandkids.
I wanna do something else up, but I want a liaison to come in. Okay, I'm gonna make a statement, and then, this is open for discussion.
Yeah.
That's hers, right? Rush it out. Yep.
I have received phone calls this month from township council members and our mayor about comments made by a commissioner at our last scheduled meeting, which also was the subject of resident comments during public discussion at a recent township council meeting. I speak on behalf of my co-chair and myself and the rest of the Human Rights Commission when I say that this commission is proud to serve at the pleasure of the township council. The passionate comments of a commissioner should not be interpreted as the opinion of the commission. This commission has not passed any resolution in support or opposition to anything being said by the council or its residents with regard to Councilman Prasad. I do not understand why this commission is being attacked. We don't understand. This commission remains committed to working towards peace and harmony among the citizens it is called to serve and represents, and I will no longer entertain or allow any further discussion which in any way will harm the hard work in maintaining this harmony. We have worked so hard for all that we have done for our diverse township. As you recall, Alex had a pledge which we all okayed and adhered to, so we have to remember that pledge. I just, in the past month, as I said, I have received some calls from the mayor and some other township people, and I just want the Human Relations Commission that we've all worked so hard for to keep the harmony and the cooperation. I don't wanna get involved in politics, I don't wanna get involved in anything else. So, that's my statement, and I'm open for any other comment.
I guess the only other comment that I would make is that when we all took that pledge, stand up by the other, we made a personal commitment to not to speak in any hate way or bigotry, not only in public, but also in private. When in private discussion, someone calls others racist or calls a name, that hurts, and it's not supposed to be that way. So it is very important for us to remember that, because we, as Human Relations Commission especially, have to set a great example that we love each other, we respect each other, and despite the differences that we have, we treat each other with respect and dignity. And that's the comment that I want to let's just remember, really, especially when you're speaking in private, is not right. It hurts feelings. And when you say something to others in a way that if it becomes in public, that's going to create problem and it's going to be more hurtful, we should avoid it. That's the comment that I'd like to make to everybody. To please remember what we pledged to do.
Well said, thank you.
You have any other comment? Am I gonna comment on that?
No, I just want to second everything that was, that you read, and to say that I do not understand why the commission was attacked at the last council meeting, because never have we endorsed, as a body of concerned residents and residents who want to serve and do what's best for the community, never have we endorsed hate speech, nor have we endorsed ill speech about anyone in the community as a body.
What brought that about though? How did that start?
Well, they watched the recording, which we have, and some of the people at the Township Council meeting. You were there, right, at the council meeting? You were at the
Yeah, I was there.
I wasn't at that council meeting, unfortunately, and the Human Relations Commission was really attacked at that meeting, which I wasn't happy about. So I'm also gonna appoint Edna as our parliamentarian, because we need a parliamentarian, so she will be watching us carefully, and if there's anything that she feels is out of order, she will tell us. So I talked to her about that today, and she's graciously accepted that additional responsibility, which I appreciate. But I'd like to hear some more comments from anybody that has any.
Shall I explain it?
Sorry?
Shall I explain what we're talking about? I think was that within order?
Sure.
Okay. So last time we had a meeting here, and the meeting was over, and I was discussing some of the things that I felt that the mayor was doing, and the way I would disapproved it. And while we was back on the corner somewhere talking, I used the word racist, and they put it in the newspaper that the man was here, they put it in the newspaper. That was several times ago. Since then, no, we had a private meeting down at the, well, that's what they're talking about there. That was that meeting. But prior to that, with the black Muslims and so forth down in the black neighborhood, and we were having our own private discussions, and that same word came up again in terms of the hate group that's been coming to the council that's running him out of town. And I'm sorry.
Well,
again,
again, I think that what we need to do is when we're having this kind of discussion, that we do not label, because that's not what this commission does. We don't label groups.
And not only
Well,
that,
this is
it
not-
comes back
this is-
to my
this- hold on
point,
now.
John,
You will not-
hold on please.
Okay.
This is
Don't
just
you-
comes back to what I said. We made a commitment not to call names or call races in private as well.
No,
Why
no,
should we
no,
call
no,
people? No, you
No.
can't.
You-
It's
I'm a
not
black
right.
activist. You can't tell me my.
In fact, as a black
You're violating my freedom of speech. The Second Amendment says you are violating my freedom of speech, sir. I'm not gonna let you sit up and tell me you're gonna violate my speech and set me up. I'm not gonna let you violate my Second Amendment.
Yeah, but John.
You don't have no right
That's
to do
not,
that. I'm
that's
just in a
not the
meeting.
point I'm making, John.
Well,
I'm
what
just
do you
trying,
want? What are you
I'm
saying?
telling you what we need to do
What
to
do you
make sure.
need to do?
No, I said we as a.
Who's we?
All of us.
Okay.
All of us.
Okay.
We need to make sure that we don't call people racist because that hurts.
Oh, Johnny.
Are you guys referring to the incident that happened in Hillsborough?
No,
No.
nothing.
Oh.
Happened right here. Johnny, you have to understand, you are an HRC commissioner.
By the way, I was a private citizen. When this was talked about, I was a private citizen. I was not a human relations commissioner.
Yeah, but
The
Nor was in
issue-
the arms of human relations commissioner.
The issue that has most recently come up and where there was criticism at the council meeting, and I need to go on the record to say that I was not at the meeting either,
wasn't either, by the way.
had to do with what happened at this table
This table here,
last
yes,
month,
ma'am. Yes,
you
ma'am.
know,
You're right.
and,
After the meeting was over.
no,
Well-
at the end of the meeting.
It was still
Yeah,
The
going
so
meeting
the
was
meeting-
over.
yeah, no.
He couldn't cut it off, sweetheart.
At the end of the meeting, there was certain.
No, it was not. The meeting was over.
I listened to the meeting online.
Yes,
I
was here
I
too.
did listen to it.
Well,
I had-
I disagree with you. The meeting was over.
But I actually, at that point, I hadn't
No, it
Yeah,
hasn't.
The
adjourned the
meeting was over, but you
No.
hadn't cut the thing off yet.
No, it hasn't been.
I didn't adjourn the
Hasn't
meeting.
been ended.
No, the meeting
You
was still
spoke
going
before
on, and we
you
were
ended.
still having a
It
discussion.
was still on.
And Johnny, I think that we can be passionate, and we can certainly, advocate for our community here in Franklin Township, and by our community, I mean everyone who is in need, everyone who lives here, everyone who has a right to a good quality of life, which is part of what we're involved in, right? And to have a harmonious community. But we can do that, and then there's no need to label people.
Okay.
That's what we're saying. And I can, you know, I've been very passionate with this group at expressing displeasure.
No problem.
And frankly, it angers me that this has become a political thing, you know, and that there are folks that are saying that, you know, this commission should be disbanded.
I
You know,
heard.
That's crap, in my book.
This is exactly what this
But I-
commission was founded on.
I'm
This
sorry.
commission was founded on the fact
Yeah,
that we would discuss different types of human issues going on in this community. That's what Human Relations Commission was devised for. That's what it's supposed to do. Now, if somebody is telling you that you cannot discuss in our private meetings, you need to cut that thing off. Because what that thing is doing is, it is monitoring, it's determining the Second Amendment rights of you, hold on, of not to speak. Now, that's what that really, really means. You're telling me now that the Human Relations Commission cannot do their job.
But our job is not labeling people. That's not our job.
John,
You
with
got
all
hung up on a
respect,
word. I
John,
mean-
my friend, John,
Yes, but
with all respect, John,
I'll respect you, sir.
I think what, maybe the message is not going through. We have committed and we pledged, not only in public, but in private, not to label others racist, as an example. And you can set a great example if you can avoid that. If you disagree with some of the things that are going, you can always talk it in a rational way. We don't need to call this person racist, or that person being the puppet, or that person is not an American, he has to do more to show he's an American and not a terrorist. We cannot do that. It is wrong, and we have to stop it, not only in private, in public, but more importantly in private. So please, John,
Okay.
you're representing HRC when you speak, even though you might say I'm doing as a citizen, but let me tell you, as a citizen, that's even more important for you not to say those kind of things, please.
Okay.
Anyhow.
I have to tell you one other thing. God is my Savior. I work with Jesus Christ only. I will always show light on darkness. That is my job, that I'm here for, and I will do it the rest of my life. Now, if anybody don't like it, if the shoe fits, I suggest you wear it. And if I tell you anything at all, if I say anything to you, if I call you any type of name, believe me, I have statistical data to show you what you've done. Else I would have never used that word. Now, you know, the people having problems with calling Donald Trump a racist. You know, I don't know if I have some problem thinking about it too. But the fact that when you use different ethnic groups and put them against each other, or if you have different races of individuals and you put them against each other, and you're the one that's doing that, I don't know what you would call that person. See, I don't know how you interpret a racist. I'm not calling nobody that old thing like the bigotry racist. I'm talking about a people that use strategy to put people in different places for their benefit only. For the gentleman sitting over there, they had all kinds of lies for their benefit, for his benefit, the person that was called. If you understand the dynamics of what's going on in this town, you would see that you should have charged this whole administration for abusing a gentleman.
Johnny,
Yes, I know.
this body serves at
And I
the
would never
pleasure
in my
of the
life.
council,
Yeah, but Johnny-
and
Yes,
it's
I
not
will
our
not.
place.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's nothing before us currently for discussion where we need to, or would we ever be called to
Yes.
validate, the council. That's not what we were called to do.
I've called a lot of people out of work, so I
You
guess
gotta-
I can
you gotta
have, yes, sir,
understand,
I say yes, I
if-
agree.
if
I've never again.
If I go to any meeting in council, I'm immediately labeled that I'm chairman of the Human Resources Commission, no matter what I say. So I have to be very careful.
Yes.
And that's what we're asking you.
But I want you
asking
to
our
understand that
commissioners to-
my work is work with God. Now,
Yeah.
yes, I will never use that word around you, sir.
No,
I may
you
call you
around
something else,
anybody.
but I won't use that no more. you know.
No, but you understand what I'm saying is you are an elected official of this township.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you're right.
And when you get up at a council meeting, or even here, you gotta be very careful
Yes,
with
sir.
your remarks.
You're
Just a
absolutely correct. Yes, sir.
clarification, appointed, we are appointed by the council.
Appointed,
Yes,
right.
So we're an
appointed.
appointed,
Yes,
yeah.
appointed by, yes, ma'am.
Appointed.
I understand that.
It doesn't mean that you have brought much to our attention that's needed to be brought to our attention.
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
And we have tried to work with you on different, and we have worked with you on
You
different
have worked with
projects.
me, of course.
And amen to that, so,
But
but
this one
what we're
here
not
is-
saying is that
This
people
one here
shouldn't
is a
be
little
passionate.
different.
But we're not saying that people shouldn't be passionate, we're just saying that we are held up to a different standard, just like we hold people to different
Sure.
standards based
Gotcha.
on our mission.
So therefore, I
You
have
know.
to smitten my language and around certain surroundings, and certain individuals will be, if they don't have complete control of you, then we gonna have a problem, but you will have a problem.
Actually, John, I think you will be more effective in promoting the goals that you have. But, and the same thing for everyone, but you'll be more effective in the things that you're trying to get it done by looking at things more gently rather than labeling people. You can be friends with more people if you approach in a more gentler way rather than labeling people. So just keep in mind, if your goal is to accomplish things, you don't have to need to label the people,
Yes, I
call
understand.
people names and all these things, which doesn't help really.
I
Not
promise
only
you-
doesn't help you, but it doesn't help
I
us as
promise you,
HRC.
I will never use that word again.
Well, it's not,
No,
it's
it's
not
not
a word,
only
and
that
it's not just a word. We just have to understand that.
Yes, I understand
wherever you
dynamics,
go,
so, yes, sir.
Even at the council meeting. when
I
you
never
get up-
use it, I never use it, Councilman.
No, but when you get up, you're still considered a commissioner. And-
Yes, sir.
and
And I always do, guy, I always do, I respect the fact.
Anything else?
Now, everything you say to me, I said in private with my homeboys, and my buddies, and the people that I have to work for, you know what I mean?
Any comments,
So,
Tom?
you know,
Thank you, John. I know
Tom?
in private. you
Tom,
don't
any
need to talk
comments?
about
No.
things.
does anybody have anything to say to me, I'm doing anything wrong?
Laura, any comments?
No, I
just
just
be
want,
mindful of it, that's.
well,
all
I
we're
guess,
trying to
I guess there's a
be
mission,
aware of.
we have a mission too. You know, it's four points. And I just looked at it, and one of them is to serve as a community resource in promoting diversity and creating an impartial forum. So, by saying that, I think we should not be taking sides or making it known that, you know, you are against somebody, but we can exchange ideas, but
Yes,
not
but they
call-
saying you can't do that.
but not call each other's names.
Oh, the names
Or
is the thing.
title,
Oh,
you
okay.
know.
You have to be careful.
You
with
don't
that.
label.
Yes.
I think I just wanted to make a comment. I think, I also wasn't at the Township Council meeting, so I don't know exactly what transpired and all of that, but I think, as it was mentioned before, some great things have come from the Human Relations Commission.
Absolutely.
Everybody has brought their own, their each unique contribution, and some really great projects have come from that. And I think ultimately, in our greater society and just as a whole, even this commission, just remembering, and this has been touched upon by a lot of different people, that each one of us is a human being, and we all just want to feel validated. And just remembering that respect of human dignity is really key. And like you said, it's important to have discourse and have, you know, different thoughts, and because that's how you progress. That's how you can consult and go beyond a problem. That's how you problem solve. So it's okay to have different opinions, but it's just the matter in which we do so. That's the key.
Let me just close by saying this, that I always believe that in life we have a common homework. And that homework is that we need to educate ourselves, help educate others. And when we do that, we'll start loving each other, respecting each other, and working together towards justice. So let's just remember that our homework is to love and adapt.
I love everybody here. You know what tickles me is, and I think everybody here know it. You know, I can laugh about it. I think everybody knows it. So I don't have no problem
Before-
loving nobody.
Yes, Rajiv.
Let me,
Councilman.
I made a comment at the council meeting, and that was that, you know, we do have a problem, and it's getting worse because of the national situation that is there. There's a lot of division that is starting to happen, and it may be race-based, or somebody's race-baiting it and causing greater division, whether, you know, they're calling names to the Muslims as terrorists, or the Mexicans, or whatever, okay? But that is what goes to the heart of your statement, that you are dividing people, okay? We cannot ignore the fact that this is happening, but we are a diverse community, and we cannot basically sweep it under the rug and pretend that it's not happening. My suggestion, and this would be a great role for the HRC to show and shine with, is to have a town hall meeting, bring in all the leaders, not only from the clergy, but from all segments of the community, and bring in an experienced arbitrator, mediator, to get people to talk and discuss what is on their minds, because I firmly believe, you said educate. This is the ignorance about the other that they do not know, but once they have a dialogue, and we facilitate that forum for a dialogue, then you will have a situation where people may not agree, but at least they'll understand the other person's point of view and may agree to disagree. But the point is, at least we've taken a step forward, and people are not at opposite polar ends, not willing to listen to anybody. So this is what I had suggested at the council meeting. You can go back and look at the tape, okay? And I am saying that again here, and I leave it on the floor for discussion. If you want to do so, it's a suggestion from my side. I will help, you know, get the arbitrator, mediator, whoever experienced person is needed to help facilitate something like that. But you cannot ignore the problem and be like an ostrich and bury your head in the sand. There is a problem. Let us address
Does
it.
anybody here know what they did to Rajiv in the past year?
It doesn't matter.
Does
It doesn't
anybody
matter.
know?
It doesn't matter.
That's not the point here. That's what we're trying to
But
tell
it
you.
is the point.
We're trying to tell you.
But
that.
we, the
That's not
commission
the
is
point.
not
That's
charged.
That's not part of the HRC, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay,
It's not,
You-
no,
you can't-
okay.
You can't bring that up
Danny,
here.
our job is to promote.
Right, you can't bring that up here. Even though
We
I-
are a diverse community,
You're right.
okay?
You can't-
But we've got to promote tolerance.
No, but you can't, that's either.
Listen to me. We gotta promote tolerance and mutual respect and peaceful coexistence.
a councilman, nobody disagrees with that.
Okay.
But, my friend,
Uh-huh,
how many times I have heard
okay,
in private
uh-huh,
that you've called people racist? You
okay,
can't do that. How many times I've heard that you've called people that they are puppet of some other people? How many
Okay.
times I've heard personally, when
Mhm.
I talked to you and I said, Rajiv, do you think as somebody, a Muslim like me, can have a fair share? You know what you told, what you text me? You said that the
Can I interrupt a
America-
second here?
Yeah.
I
You
do
had a
think
private
that
conversation with me
think
that you
this
had in
is-
confidence, you asked me for
Can I
advice,
interrupt
and now
here?
you use that against me when you ask me for advice, and I give it
Oh,
to you.
That's fine, let's.
Okay, but
And he's
The
telling
reason
the
why I
truth.
wanna interrupt is because I do not feel that we should be talking about
Exactly.
Why not?
private conversations that we have
Yes,
had.
it's not part of us.
What's
Yeah, that's
important
not
is
part
what
of
happens
HR.
here at this
No,
table.
but
No, but that's not part of HR. What we're
Again,
doing.
the human-
Okay,
Isn't the Linda?
okay.
All I was
This is-
talking about was the
that's
bigger
not part of
community.
No, no, no.
Yeah, but
That's human relations.
No, no, it's not
That's
part of us.
not what we're here to
Not part
talk
of us,
about
John.
now.
That's what I'm trying to
You
tell
know.
you.
So what the hell are you supposed to be talking about?
It's funny.
Not that.
Well, an example of the things we talked about was when, you know, we knew that children living in the communities that Sharon started, the
Right.
empowerment program,
did that.
needed decision-making tools,
Right.
needed
That's what we did.
empowerment information, needed activity, needed, those are the things that we are
Oh, I
charged to
see.
do.
At the same
right?
time, the whole.
When there was blackface on a
It's
flyer, it was
abusing-
up to us to speak on
Yes,
behalf that
yes.
this was not
Right.
appropriate,
Well,
and
now
as the
it's the
flyer
community.
should be.
Now, it's worse going on now, and you refuse to hear it,
That was the community, Johnny.
okay? What's that word I can't think of? What's that word, I asked somebody, what's that word I asked you?
Stop the conversation.
Wait, no, don't, not yet, there's one word, I have one word.
Johnny, you need to
Citizenship.
understand, that's not part of our.
What's that thing about you
function.
take over town, you take over the district?
When you take over a district.
Yeah, when the,
coup?
what that word?
Johnny,
Gerrymander?
Yes, yes,
what-
yes.
what-
I have one word to tell you guys. The word is gerrymandering. Miss Edna, I want you to get in your book and I want you to find out what that word means.
What's it?
And then I'm gonna I'm gonna give you an example of where it is happening right here in Franklin
I don't.
It's happening in the country.
Yeah.
So,
I know,
it's
I
not
know.
just Franklin.
Now,
Let's
So
go
then
back
we
to what I
need-
was suggesting.
We need specific
We
examples,
didn't, I
again.
didn't
Oh,
get,
okay.
We can talk
Listen to
about
me.
these things without attacking
can
each
you
other.
listen to me.
Guys, we're off the topic again, yeah.
I made a suggestion, I would like to hear, is that a good idea, or am I wasting my time suggesting that?
Well,
What about the
I just don't know if we gotta get the council approval on that first.
Yeah.
I will suggest it tomorrow night
It's-
at the council
It's the
meeting.
council approval, I mean, I don't think it's within our authority
Well, what about that other thing we were gonna do,
you know,
that we were gonna
What?
sign?
I mean,
No.
it should be
No,
part of
you
the
don't.
the
You don't wanna
council
do that?
approval, you know, we bring it up to the council. We serve on behalf of the, as you know, on behalf of the council, you know.
So
We're
if the
under-
council is the problem,
We're under
we
their
can't go
auspices.
nowhere.
We're under their auspices.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of times people say
Okay,
things behind closed doors and not.
before I.
That's right, with the private citizen.
Before I adjourn the meeting, I wanna hear what's new with Shireen. Have you
I
been-
don't know yet. Match
Have you-
day is
have
March
you-
15th.
Have you been interviewing the West Coast, I heard,
That is correct.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
and
You
So
took the
we'll
job
see.
then?
No, we don't know yet.
Oh,
On
you don't
March
know yet.
15th.
Everybody throws their hat in and.
Okay.
So it's a match.
No, you
The
open-
hospitals put out their
Yeah,
candidates
exactly.
they want, and they put out the hospitals they want, and if it's a match,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
they get
Right,
selected.
right.
So
I'll
I-
entertain a motion to adjourn.
I mean,
Wait,
You don't like us?
Thank you.
I'm just wondering if this is a little premature. Are we done having a discussion?
Well,
No, we're not.
I asked, no one else commented. Any more comments?
I mean, I don't have anything else to say, but some people at the table have not spoken, and if indeed we are done, then we're done. But, you know, we do not meet for
And
another 4
you
weeks.
need to talk.
I went around the
You
room.
need
Well,
to talk.
I think what Alex said about the pledge that we made, which is very, very vital for our maintaining the harmony of this commission. And at the same time, I can see as a newcomer that there are some issues there. Sometimes we become judgmental for someone outburst or, emotions and others. And so to sum up all these issues, I think it's a good idea if we can accept the suggestion from councilman and have some sort of town hall meeting type. Why not? Give it a shot. Maybe it's a good one.
Not bad,
The only thing I can say to that, and I would agree totally. But your participants, I'll guarantee you, will not speak because the dominant factor of the group is going to be there. And you will not speak if you was on my group of people, and I can determine whether you might get fired or whatever's going to happen to you. You will not. If you're not under the control of somebody else, you will not. If you will speak. But if you are, you will not speak your mind.
But Johnny, I just said the word judgmental. Don't be judgmental of anything.
But when judgmental is a fact, what do you call that?
But again, as a HRC commissioner, we are charged, our mission dictates that we facilitate communication, that we facilitate harmony, and that would be one way if we were to decide.
We here have harmony.
We know we don't live in utopia. We all know that.
Well, I know that, but I like to think so.
But, we aspire to that, but we know we don't live in that. But
I like to think so,
I mean,
ma'am.
if we need to discuss this idea at the next meeting, then, we discuss this idea at the next meeting.
Yeah.
But I don't want us to leave this table with ill feelings this evening.
Right.
Because we do really care about each other, and this is a dynamic group, and we've done a lot of things.
My only job is to try to tell you what's factually going on, whether you like to hear it or not. I understand the harmony and the religion
Again,
and the
we can
churches
talk about all of
and
that
everything,
without
but that's not what he just said to him just a few minutes ago.
name calling or we, all of us.
I didn't call nobody no names in this meeting.
Not at this
I
meeting.
guess the point we were making the whole time
I
is
know
that
the
we
point
gotta
you're
be
making.
in private as a person who wants to bring the harmony. We need to be mindful of what we say in private.
I tell you
That
what.
is a key
Because
one.
everywhere we go, we are commissioners, but frankly, I don't wanna deal with gossip about what I do.
You're saying something different.
When,
Now, I'm a community activist. I'm a black community activist for 40 years, 50 years. And I'm not gonna let you tell me to violate my Second Amendment rights about what I can say and cannot say. Of course, I will not say it in a private meeting that we're having here. Okay, I won't say it.
we
But
want
when I
you to
step
bring
outside
things to
that
the
door- no,
table
sir,
that
baby.
need to be addressed.
I'm committed to
Yes.
God to tell the truth. I'm
And
not
we
committed
want
to
you
your
to bring
what you
truth
do.
to this table. That's not what we're saying, that you shouldn't bring truth to the table.
Well, you won't let me bring the truth here. baby. I'm
You're
trying to
not
tell you the truth.
understanding us.
Could I say something real quick? I think that what she's not saying that you should restrict your First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and to present facts to the table. I'm just saying that
Yes.
in the manner of which you go about presenting those facts should be, I guess, respectful to all people.
Yes.
And it
Well,
should.
if I don't be, if I disrespect, just stop me. I'm sorry, I always thought I was.
Just, I feel like the labeling, the name calling is kind
Well,
of.
now you keep going to that. That was one different incident.
And I understand.
Oh, you're saying being respectful to the people I'm gonna call a name to?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
respectful to all.
Because,
Oh,
That's
okay.
what we're called to,
Okay.
and that's what we expect
Well, I
other people
told
to
you
do.
now, that was in private. Now you're gonna tell me I can't say it in
No, we're
private.
talking,
No,
I am
but
talking
that's the
strictly
key.
about what
Say
happened at
don't
this
say it in
table.
private
No,
because that-
no. I'm a black activist. I say what I wanna say in private. And you and nobody else will stop me but God.
And I think with that aspect, in the private, again, I think Alex, you were talking about that, like.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But at the same time, though, you represent HRC. You represent
That's
our
what I was trying to say.
our body. So
Yes,
by you,
yes.
That's
Yes,
the point.
yes,
Right.
yes.
because let's
But okay, but
John,
if
you're
what I'm doing is factual evidence, if what I'm doing is factual, It's not a lie, it's not a lie, it's not a lie. And can be proven factual evidence that what I'm saying is the truth. Should I not discuss that?
No, but it's the
Sometimes
manner.
You keep saying no.
It's a deliverance.
It's
you
a,
know?
yeah, it's deliberate.
Right.
Oh, that's my delivery.
Yeah.
I know I'm crazy, got loud mouth.
Yeah, you could curtail
I
the
know, I'm
deliverance
sorry.
a
We
little
want
bit,
to
you
hear
know?
what things that are happening that shouldn't be happening,
Mhm.
because we said we would be a voice for
Right,
others,
it's a
so.
deliverance,
Okay.
yes.
The key
But there's
word
no
is,
place for name
you are a
calling.
commissioner. Anything you
Okay.
say,
So
as you
anything
say,
not.
public or private, you know, you have to be a little bit,
Can I
you
give
know,
an example of
careful
something
or
that just
diplomatic.
happened?
Go ahead, Linda, go.
So, I was in Atlanta for the Super Bowl, and my granddaughter stays in an apartment with 3 other students. And she asked the girls, before I got to town, would you mind cleaning up? Because my grandmother's come in, and it would be nice if you could clean up or whatever. Well, they ignored her, they didn't do it. So when I got there, the place is a mess. So when I went in there, she separated herself from them. I went in there, and she really wanted me to attack them, you know, and say, how come this place is so nasty or whatever? I didn't do that. I stood there, watched the last 8 minutes of the Super Bowl with them, and started asking each one of the girls, you know, why are you here? Where do you live? Where did you come from? Questions like that. And just from talking to them in a nice tone, not accusing anybody of being dirty or anything like that, 2 of the other girls got up and just started cleaning up. Just started cleaning, washing the dishes and doing everything. The other girl, that's the little hothead, she just sat there because she wasn't doing anything. But the other, she picked up her plate so the girls could wipe around it and things like that. So when I go back in the room with my granddaughter, she's mad at me because I spoke to her so-called enemies. But I said to her, listen, what do you hear? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? What do I hear? I said, you hear water running. They're in there washing the dishes. But see, I didn't go in there and attack them.
Sure, I got you.
I just went in there,
I know about the-
kindly
the honey.
just talk to them about
Right.
things,
You get more out of
and
what
they
say?
went
You
on
get
and
more out of
jumped in
honey?
line. So it's your deliverance. It's all about a
Sure.
deliverance.
So we don't attack each other, and we
Right.
don't attack others
Right.
either.
Right.
I will attack my enemy.
Okay, so now we're out of order again.
Yeah, I'm out of order. See what I'm saying?
But Johnny, you can't
You can't do that.
But try to
Johnny,
make
look
the
at
enemy
it
a
like that.
I have been,
Johnny,
no,
Johnny.
sir, no,
But you-
sir.
but you can't
I've
do
been
that.
black
Johnny,
man too long.
But
look
you
at it
can't do
like
that,
this,
Johnny.
you're an HRC person.
Yes,
You just gonna have to take a back seat sometimes, just keep it shut.
Right.
And not go so
Exactly.
crazy
Oh, well, I
at the
thought I was
person.
supposed to tell
Okay,
y'all. That's why I like to
Remember
say
what
it.
Martin Luther King said?
I know what he said.
Okay, darkness doesn't bring darkness, right? So
Bring the darkness into light,
Well,
that's what I'm about to do,
yeah,
sir.
so
Yeah,
even
there
if
you go.
somebody you think is your enemy, as she said, if you just approach it gently, he'll be your friend. So
Oh.
let's do
Right.
that,
No.
HRC,
That's all I
that's
was
our
not
trying
job.
to say.
Not
Okay.
this one.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right,
If we your
good job,
friend.
Ed.
After you tore the black community apart.
Well, my mission was
We
solved
adjourned?
because they cleaned
Yeah,
up
because they did
without
clean
me attacking
All
them.
right, okay.
No, motion to
Did you
adjourn.
adjourn yet?
Motion to.
Motion
Yeah,
to
second.
I second it.
Second.